Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to take a side-by-side comparison look with the 2022 BMW M3 against the 2022 Cadillac CT4 V Blackwing. Both of these are sporty performance-oriented sedans that also offer a 3-pedal option, so it's really awesome to see that both Cadillac and BMW are still keeping that alive. But we're going to look at all the engine specs, take a look at the exterior, the interior. I have some quick test drive clips from reviewing both of these vehicles. If you want to see even more details on both of these, those full reviews will be down in the description. And then we'll come back and talk about the final thoughts comparing both of these family sedans. So as we start off with the BMW M3, underneath the hood is a 3-liter twin-power turbo 6-cylinder engine. This specific model is paired to the 6-speed manual. It pumps out 473 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. It is rear-wheel drive, weighs in right around 3,800 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in just over 4 seconds, up to its top speed of 180 miles an hour. And it has a fuel capacity of 15.6 gallons with a fuel economy of 16 miles per gallon in the city and 23 out on the highway. As we make our way over to the Cadillac now, this has a 3.6-liter twin-turbo V6. This model is paired to the 10-speed automatic, however you can get that 6-speed manual. It pumps out 472 horsepower and 445 pound-feet of torque, so a little bit more torque than the M3. It is rear-wheel drive, weighs about the same, around 3,800 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, up to its top speed of 189 miles an hour. And it has a fuel capacity of 17 gallons, and the fuel economy for this will be 15 miles per gallon in the city and 23 miles per gallon out on the highway. And now as we work our way to the exterior styling for both of these models, on the BMW, let's start off with this large kidney grille. This has been a very controversial topic with all the latest BMW models that we've reviewed lately. Personally, I think it looks really good. All of those lines on the hood really add to the character of the new design for the kidney grille. All of the contoured lines running throughout the bumper. I will say on the non-M models, it does not look as good because it doesn't have all of those lines that the M model cars have. So on this specific car, I think it looks really good. We have all of those lines. We have the LED headlights, LED DRLs, even the turn signals that you can see on the outer corners. This has a forward-facing camera, all the parking sensors, so really nice technology features, as well as even performance features like the air inlets, all of the cutouts in the grille too to provide even more cooling. So we have all of those features to keep all of the engine components nice and cooled. And it just has a really stylish front end. I love this specific model finished off in the gray, really shows off all of those lines. And then as we move on to the Cadillac, the front end is not quite as aggressive as the M3, although it has a really nice design to it. All of the mesh also has a V, so it matches the V for this V model. Plenty of cutouts as well in the lower section, matching with the grille, so we have even more cutouts and a lot of cooling. Cadillac badge is nicely placed front and center. And then this also has LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. And the DRL actually stretches all the way to about the middle section of the bumper, which does give it a distinctive look for Cadillac. A lot of their newer models have that. It's pretty large and really nice to see how that's wrapping around the upper section as well as the side of the headlight housing. And then the hood has some nice lines running down it. Not quite as aggressive as I mentioned earlier like the M3. BMW is a lot more sporty, obviously. Cadillac is a lot more luxurious. So we have a lot more clean lines with some sporty angles to it. You can see the lower section of the bumper has a protrusion there just to add to that sporty look. But overall, a little bit more of a luxurious front end style for it. And then making our way back to the BMW M3, this has a lot of the M Sport package features. So it has the 20-inch wheels as well as the Brembo brakes with 6 pistons up front, single pistons in the rear. Really nice two-tone design and multi-spoke pattern. You can see the M3 badge just behind that. It is not a functional piece, and keep that in mind when we work our way back to the Cadillac. But overall, really nice side profile design. We even have the carbon fiber roof. Really awesome to see that on a family sedan. A lot more black trim pieces just to tie it in nicely, especially with the lower section of the bumper. You can see that running down the lower side skirt. Over on the Cadillac now, with this model being black, everything is blacked out on this model. So again, a little bit more luxurious, a little bit more sleek. This has a set of 18-inch wheels, has Brembos just like the M3 with 6 pistons up front. However, the rear brakes are 4 pistons compared to the single pistons on the M3. And this does have a functional trim piece just behind the front tire. So unfortunately, it is not functional on the M3, but on this V Blackwing model for the Cadillac, very large functional trim piece located just behind the tire. There is no carbon fiber for the roof. However, this does have a sunroof, which obviously you cannot get on the carbon fiber, but that definitely has the cool factor over having the sunroof. This model also has a pinstripe too, just to add to more of that luxurious side for it. And then working our way to the M3, the back end has a nice design. You'll see more carbon fiber on the trunk lip spoiler for that sporty look like BMW likes to do. LED taillights, of course. This has a backup camera with all the sensors. A lot of gloss black in that lower diffuser, wrapping the quad tip dual exhaust just to give it a great touch. Over on the Cadillac, this has a much larger trunk mounted wing, which gives it a cool look. We have the backup camera, the sensors, the same quad tip dual exhaust, just in a little bit different of a configuration. This has LED taillights just like the M3, but I think the wing really sets it apart and gives it that sporty look for this ultra luxurious sedan. And then working our way to the cargo space now, with the M3 you do have the power trunk, so you can open that up with the key fob. Plenty of storage in the back with the back seats up, and there's some compartments on both sides where you could place smaller items if needed. And then you can fold the back seats down with 2 tabs, so if you want a lot of space, there's no overhangs. Definitely gives you that amount of room for a fun family sedan like this. And then working our way to the Cadillac, this does not have a power operated trunk. It's interesting to see that, but there's still a lot of storage space in the back, really nice flat surface. Small compartment over on that passenger side. On the driver's side, instead of having a compartment, there's access to the battery components. However, there is a little bit of additional storage space up underneath the floor. And same thing with the M3, back seats fold down, giving you a lot of space. So both of these are very practical. And like I mentioned earlier, there's a grab handle because there is no power trunk. As we move on to the back seats now for both of these sporty sedans, this model has a really cool color combo with the exterior and the interior. I'm sure you could do that on a Cadillac or something similar if you wanted. But with the back seat room, I am 5'10". I had plenty of space in the back of this M3. You can also get a look at the carbon fiber bucket seats. So this model has some really performance oriented seats for the performance of this model. Highly recommend those seats. But anyway, I have plenty of room in the back, so it's really nice. Obviously you could go with an M5 if you needed a little bit more rear seat space, but this is doable, very practical for the size of this vehicle. And you have even more practicality with those back seats folding down. As I mentioned earlier, you can get another look at what that storage space looks like. And there's also a few amenities for your backseat passengers. So you can charge electronics, and there's a climate zone that you can adjust. On the Cadillac, you just get 2 air vents along with a 12 volt, so you can still charge some electronics. And the headroom is a little bit smaller, but there is an indentation in that roofline to give you a little bit more headroom. And just like the M3, the back seats do fold down. However, on this Cadillac, it's a 60-40 split compared to the 40-20-40 split. So a little bit less practicality in that aspect to it. And then working our way to the front seats now and the front interior, the door panel on this M3 looks fantastic with the two-tone design, all of the brushed aluminum and the interior ambient lighting package as well. This has the memory seating adjustments and even a release for the trunk. And getting a look at these carbon fiber bucket seats, obviously these are an option, so you can go to a different seat if you'd like to. But these ones here, two-tone design, all automatic as well, even heated seats. Really nice to see that. On the CT4 V Blackwing, the door panel is completely blacked out. There's a few different trim pieces here, like on the release handle and just underneath that, leading to one speaker. This does have memory seating adjustments as well, all the window controls, even a release for the trunk too, but just not as sporty feeling with the two-tone design in the M3. But again, more classic, more luxurious too. And then moving to the seats, a lot more standard compared to those M3 optional buckets. Really nice design though, pretty much all solid with the gray stitching. There's even an adjustable section in the front portion, and these are also automatic seats and they are heated, which is great to see. And now as we move on to the technology features for both of these models, the BMW M3 has the digital gauge cluster, which provides a lot of information. You can go through information within that tach there, so while it's not configurable, it gives you everything that you need without going overboard, including the navigation that you can see at all times front and center. Over on the Cadillac, there is a digital gauge cluster that is a little bit more configurable, but you can go through a lot of the same information, look at audio, navigation, there's the driver assistance, all of the different V modes, all the timers that you can go through as well. So it's great to see that we have all that technology that is readily available for you. But now let's take a listen to the exhaust notes for both of these models. And coming back to the center infotainment system, the BMW M3 has a 12-inch touchscreen system. You can use some other dials to go through all that info, but just like the Gauge Cluster, it gives you everything you need without going overboard. You can even go through all the M mode buttons, which are located on the steering wheel, so you can quickly have this model set up between two different settings, whether you want a daily drive or you have your mountain and track setting. Very cool to be able to see that, being able to adjust the steering, the braking, the chassis, the engine, a lot of different modes for this performance-oriented vehicle. And then on the Cadillac, there is a smaller screen, however, it's still touchscreen. There's controls down below that you can use to go through it. And not quite as much information. Both of them have navigation, they have the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and there's not as many performance-oriented features that you can customize like on the M3. There are some sport mode buttons and the V mode, which does activate a few different settings. You can customize that a little bit, but just doesn't feel as involved as in the M3. But the touchscreen is a great system. It provides you with everything that you need. Now let's get both of these out on the road. This is such a cool family sedan that is incredibly performance oriented with everything that it has, including the option of going with the 6-speed manual. If you are looking for a fun family vehicle, but you also want to have that performance and the fact that BMW is keeping the manual alive, this is a really cool option. Now, one thing I want to talk about, well, we'll get to the seats here in just a sec. This car sounds so good as well, and you can obviously shut that exhaust off if you want to, but it has a nice healthy grunt to it for that inline 6-cylinder. But I really want to talk about these seats because this is one of the best factory option sport bucket seats that I have ever seen. My brother and I had the chance to have the BMW M4 competition with these exact seats for 1 week, and honestly, I would get these every single day. It's around a $3,800 option, but the fact that they're power operated, they're heated, and they are so comfortable for what they are, it's definitely something that you need to opt for with this vehicle because I didn't even move. I'm not a big guy, and with these seats here, you have the adjustable side bolstering support. There's a lot of different aspects that you can get them exactly dialed in. Wow, that is a lot of fun. But aside from all the performance and the power, this is an excellent daily driver. It's super comfortable. If I tone everything down, I'll take it out of the M mode there, and we'll put it into M1 as well, and you can instantly feel everything loosen up. Going back into M2, it gets a lot stiffer. So just depending on if you want a daily drive, you want to take it to the mountains or the track, you can set this up as you'd like to. So I have everything in normal mode. It's not in V mode or anything. We'll give it a little bit of gas here and see what it sounds like in the quiet setting, basically. And not even quarter throttle there. This is a brand new vehicle, so there's only so much I can do, but that got up to speed really fine. Let's pop it into V mode, which should automatically put us into track. So we're into track now. We can use the paddle shifters now. You can hear some pops in that exhaust. Now, I wouldn't say it's crazy loud. I'm not doing a heavy acceleration either, but it's really nice the fact that you can go between those different settings. We get some deep, low rumbles on the downshifts and slowing down. That's pretty awesome. So this would be an excellent daily driver because you can just drive it like a normal vehicle. And then this is a vehicle that's designed to go out on the track. That definitely sounds really good. But it's so smooth to drive too with the magnetic ride. It's absorbing all these bumps very well. I have no complaints with that, or with just driving this in general. We'll give it a little bit of gas from second. And just like that, we are up to speed. Has no issues. And this interior, I love this red interior paired with the exterior gray. Gives it a phenomenal color combo. And you can see with the M Sport or the M mode on with that Gauge Cluster, you can see the large tack. I'm not sure if the camera can pick up the large tack. that's on the heads-up display, but it gives you that race-inspired feel. Like I said, not doing anything too crazy because this is a brand new vehicle, but we can play with it just a little bit, as we do have a sharp left coming up. The handling is incredible. Just coming around that turn, it feels very, very planted. You can't feel any body roll or anything like that. It's very hunkered down to the ground, low center of gravity. And even though we have 10 gears, it's really nice that you can play with all of them, all the way up into 10th gear, of course, but they don't seem like they're short gears at the same time. So it'll be perfect for cruising out on the highway. You can keep those RPMs in a very low range, save a little bit on MPG while you're driving this to the track or to the mountains or something like that. So it really provides the best of both worlds. You can also opt though for the 6-speed manual, which I'm sure would be very, very fun in a sedan like this. Not too many sedans offer the manual. And coming back to final thoughts between the BMW M3 and the Cadillac CT4 V Blackwing, both of these are very fun, performance-oriented family sedans that you could daily drive if you need the practicality of having the backseat room as well as that rear cargo area, but you need a vehicle that you want to drive every single day and you don't want to lose the performance characteristics by not having a sports car or something like that. So both of these are very fun. I would highly recommend the 6-speed manual just because of the rare factor compared to other sedans that are offered. It's great to see that both of these companies are still keeping that alive. The BMW is going to be a lot more sporty feeling than the Cadillac. Cadillac is known for being more luxurious, so it's going to be a little bit more on the softer side, I would say, even though it has performance characteristics to it. We had the chance to have a CT4 V Blackwing for 1 week, so I'll link some of those videos down below if you want to see how well that performs in the mountains. We haven't had an M3 to be able to do that. Hopefully we can do that soon because I would love to rip on an M3 with the manual, especially with those seats out in the mountains, and really see how much better it performs than the quick test drive that I was able to be in it. So both of these are great options. It really just comes down to what's your preference. Do you like BMW or do you like Cadillac? Personally, I have been in a lot more BMWs and I would opt for the M3, but I think that the Cadillac CT4 V Blackwing is going to be a little bit more rare just because I haven't seen them as much out on the roads as the M3s. Haven't seen too many M3s either, so they're both kind of going to be rare unless you actually know what it is when it's out on the road. But you get carbon fiber accents on the M3, not so much on the Cadillac, so that's why it's a little bit more sporty, especially with those seats, a little bit more geared towards that performance, even though the Cadillac still has similar performance characteristics. And as spec'd, the two models that I reviewed for this comparison that I had available for me, the Cadillac was right around $64,000, the M3 was closer to $80,000. So obviously there's a price discrepancy between both of these models that I reviewed, but both of them do have additional options that you can get as well as not get, like the seats in the M3 were a $3,800 option alone. So they're going to be very, very similar just depending on the options that you go with. But again, both great options if you're looking for a little bit more space and you want to retain that performance in your family sedan. But that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below which model you would go with and why. Give the video a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.